We're going to today got the seatbelt. Again, this is a great test of our seatbelt and kind of how our body, upper and lower, is going to move independently of each other. So we work this back maintenance drill. This is one of the most important drills we do in fundamentals. Really teaches you how to maybe keep or maintain the back. If you haven't found a hook yet, this concept always kind of kicks in to make that second hook. So we'll start on the back. I'll be here. And what'll happen is, let's go to the escape side first. And this is going to be the harder side, just so everybody understands. It's a little bit more difficult to do this on the escape side. There's a reason this is the escape side. So I'm here and I'm still holding the back. I haven't lost my hooks yet, right? I could still try to fight for chokes or everything else. But what's going to happen is Mike's going to start to try and turn his hips up towards the ceiling and lose that hook. And that's my cue to go to this drill. Now, as I talk, I'm going to make a little bit of space, so I'll make sure I demo it a couple of times tighter so people understand. My elbows have to stay behind, my head has to stay behind, because right here he's going to try to put his head on the ground, so I can't allow that to happen. I've got to keep my head tight here. As his hips turn up, I'm going to take the hook that's inside, I'm going to use that, I'm going to put it just inside, I'm going to pull my bottom leg out. The hardest part of this is making use of the seatbelt, so I'm going to turn my seatbelt by using my elbows here. And I put my forehead on the ground. Now I'm going to slide my back knee up as high as I can to sit. Replace my head, replace my hook. Okay, now we go to the escape side, or to the choke side. The choke side is much more difficult for him. So if we follow the choke side here, and we go here, it's going to be much easier for me to apply this. Now, one thing that happens right away, when I land, if you see, my elbow's starting to come in front. So I have to make sure with my seatbelt that I'm being honest with myself about where my elbow position is. My elbow should always be behind. So I'm going to make sure that I apply the hook here as he starts to turn the hips forward. I'm going to, again, so I'm going to lift with my right elbow, or pull my right elbow back, and I'm going to lift with my... I'm sliding my right knee all the way up so that I can sit down, slide my leg through, replace my hook. So a couple details with this, and the reason why this is important. At the newer belts, guys with white belts, blue belts, may not know how to react to this yet. And so when they go to the escape, a lot of times what happens is they just kind of hit here, and they may just be trying to move their hips even and do everything else, but not really bridging. The bridge is going to be, when he bridges up, that's actually what, if you see, that removes my hook and it puts more pressure on my body to move. So if he doesn't do that, there's no rush. Hey, I can start to attack from here. Also, anytime now he starts to kind of move around like that, it's like I can just pull him back and hug up. And I'm not concerned about this at all. Not until he bridges. That's when I'm going to make the hook. I'm not going to let go of my seatbelt, but I talk with my hands, guys. So I'm right here, right? I'm going to make this hook because he's bridging. If he doesn't bridge, I'm not concerned. So I'm waiting, right? Just because we're on the escape side, if I keep my head tight and my hook's on like this, it's not going to escape for him. So head position becomes super important here because he can't win the head fight and get his head to the ground, right? And I can still work on these chokes that we just did, right? And figure out how to put them in those positions. So just because it's the escape side, I don't need to panic yet. But once he starts to bridge, he's going here. And now I know, look, if he bridges up and I don't make any adjustments, eventually now he can move his head to the other side, right? And now I'm going to have to start to transition because I'm losing the fight. So you want to be patient in the back. It's important to know when you do and don't have to do things. I think habitually when we start learning jiu-jitsu, one of the things we do is we do too much. We learn a lot of stuff and we try too hard sometimes. And this, I always say, one of the biggest virtues of being a black belt is patience. Not just because it takes a long time to get the black belt, but you really start to learn on the mat when you need to move and when you don't need to move, and how much effort to put into things. And that becomes very important as far as just, you know, if he's not doing anything wrong here, if I don't feel like I'm in danger of losing the position, I don't need to make any adjustments. Try to go to technical mount right away. So we'll be in this, especially if he's going to the escape side. He starts escaping and you try to hook over. Now, two things I'll say. One, you're going to have a real hard time using this because what you're trying to do is pull through your hamstring, not the strongest muscle in the world, to pull yourself over, versus here, I'm actually extending, and it's actually a little bit easier to use stronger muscles to get up. So that might help a lot of people if you're struggling with that.